Just wanted to go ahead and have a Sunday school lesson for us. So we're going to start and have our lesson from Matthew 26, 47 through 56. And that's the story about Jesus being arrested. I created a PowerPoint like we do every Sunday, so I'm going to just go through the PowerPoint, but rather than having you guys read, I'm going to go ahead and read it aloud. If you feel like you want to read, just mute me and read it yourself, and we'll go along. All right. So without any further ado, here we go. Matthew 26, 47 through 50. While he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, arrived. With him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. The one I kiss is the man, arrest him. Going at once to Jesus, Judas said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus replied, "Do what you came for, friend." All right, so we always know that after each section, I kind of like to take these bigger portions of our Sunday school lessons and break them down into smaller consumable bits. And then after we read one of those sections, I like to ask a few questions so that we have some interaction going, and I'm making sure you guys are paying attention. All right, so I got our first question. Where was Jesus when he was betrayed? Now this is a little bit tricky because this wasn't mentioned in our in the reading that we just finished. This is a kind of a carryover from a section that's right before. So if you're familiar with the story, then you might know. If not, you can ask your parents or look it up in the Bible. You'd be able to find it in Matthew 26, also right before we get to this section. All right, so I'm going to give you 3, 2, 1. Here comes the answer. In the Garden of Gethsemane. That's right. All right. If you got that right, give yourself a pat on the back. All right. And our next question, real quick, was who betrayed Jesus? Somebody that Jesus knew was the person who led the soldiers to where he was and pointed him out. Bonus question, I didn't add it on. It's not on here, but yell it out if you know the answer. Also, how did this person betray Jesus? All right. So the answer to who betrayed Jesus in 1, 2, 3. That's right, Judas Iscariot. And how did he betray Jesus? With a big, wet, sloppy smooch. That's right. He gave him a kiss, which I think must have been customary in those days. All right, off to our next section, Matthew 26, 50 to 54. Then the men stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. With that, one of Jesus' companions reached for his sword, drew it out, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Put the sword back in its place," Jesus said to him. "For all who draw the sword will die by the sword. You think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way?" All right, here we go. Some more questions. So what did one of Jesus's companions do to protect Jesus? And we're reading this from Matthew, so the companion is not named here, but John does name the Matthew does name the companion in his version in his gospel, and that companion was Peter. So that's just a little side note there. So we can really say, what did Peter do to protect Jesus? He drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest. And what body part was struck by that sword? Anybody? All right, that's right, the ear. Okay. All right, if you got both of those, give yourselves 2 pats on the back and a high five to yourself. But don't high five others. You can elbow bump. All right, and then we come to the last little section. It says, in that hour, Jesus said to the crowd, I'm leading rebellion. You've come out with me. You've come out with swords and clubs to capture. Every day I sat in the temple courts teaching, and you didn't arrest me. But this has all taken place so that the writings of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples deserted him and fled. All right. So our last little question of our last lesson here. How many of Jesus' disciples does Matthew say deserted and fled Jesus? All right. The answer in 3, 2, 1. All of them. That's right. Okay, guys. Thanks for spending this 5 or 6 minutes to get this lesson. I enjoyed putting it together with you. I'm looking very much forward to seeing each of you in person. In the meantime, hang in there, and we'll be back at church before you know it. All right. Wish you all the best and love and care for all of you. So just hang in there, and we'll see each other soon.